Right, this is a story that cropped up in my news feed a few days ago, 3-4 days ago at the time of filming this. And I think it just perfectly illustrates how the government has it in for the public and how they're treating you. And how they're just the cause of everything. So, we're going to talk about the story, and then I'm probably going to start ranting more widely about how it's all their fault. And, well, actually, no, fault is the wrong word, because that implies that there may have been an accident to it. They're doing this on purpose. There's no other explanation for it. They're just a bunch of cunts. And they've got it in for the public. Right, let me show you the story. British Gas sees profits increase tenfold. This is the same British Gas which was breaking into vulnerable people and pensioners' homes, just smashing their doors down in order to fit prepayment meters and beat money out of them, even though that's illegal and they weren't meant to be doing that, and they've also faced zero consequences from it. They're allowed to fit prepayment meters again now. The courts that are meant to protect us from these evil bastards do fuck all as well. They just rubber stamp it through. Yeah, this is the same company, obviously. So yeah, increase tenfold. What the fuck? Alright, let's carry on. British Gas has announced its profits for 2023 increased tenfold to £750 million. So the jump from 72 million in 2022 was due to, and you're gonna fucking hate this, due to regulator Ofgem allowing it to recover losses of £500 million it racked up in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. They love to steer the narrative towards blaming it on Russia. That is part of the reason this happened, but they've made it 10 times worse. Let's carry on. While oil and gas firms made record profits because they're evil bastards, when energy prices spiked, suppliers that took on the customers of bust retailers made hefty losses. Boo fucking who? Centrica, British Gas's parent company, said its profits fell by 17% to a measly £2.8 billion. Diddums! Did the board of directors have to buy just 10 private yachts this year rather than the usual 11? Oh no! The evil energy giant, which extracts and generates fossil fuels, followed BP and Shell in posting reduced, albeit still ridiculously large profits, for 2023 due to oil and gas prices falling back on the levels seen in 2022. I mean, they still make billions a year, so don't feel sorry for them at all. They're still a bunch of evil cunts. Millions of households have been hit by higher electricity and gas bills in recent years. Yes, stupidly high, to the point where people are skipping meals and freezing to death in their own homes, having thugs sent round to smash their door down and either fit a prepayment meter or cut them off or just get money out of them through violence. And if you're thinking, oh no, that's not true, they're regulated. No, if you sign up for that sort of job, you're a cunt, and there's no way that there isn't violence involved. You know, or at least the threat of violence, you know, just to intimidate the money out of people. They're all a bunch of bastards. So, now this is something that we'll come back to in a minute. Energy has also been the main driver in the rising cost of living in the UK, and also the main driver of inflation as well, which is going to be important later. Evil Centrica said its retail business, British Gas, which has 7.5 million customers, made £750 million in profits as a result of Ofgem allowing it to claw back £500 million in losses. So what about the other £250 million? Do they just keep that, or do they give that back? Well, no, of course, they fucking keep it, because they're a bunch of evil cunts. And, in case you missed it, as a result of being allowed by Ofgem, the energy regulator. So, Ofgem, which by the way is a government department, it is part of the government, it's not independent from them, it is a government department, actually allowed them to do that. Right? And it tells you how they fucking did it as well. This was due to the energy price cap otherwise known as energy prices, because all energy companies are just charging the absolute maximum they can get away with, set by the government department, which is Ofgem, allowing energy providers to take a bigger slice of profits in the first half of 2023 to compensate them for debts on bills that they cannot recover from the customers even after beating them up. So what they've done there is kept the price cap, and therefore the prices, higher than they needed to be in order to allow the energy companies to make more money. 10 times as much money. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? The government's meant to be on our... We voted for them. They're meant to be on our side. They're meant to protect us from cunts like this. I'll show you in a minute. Ofgem's website is plastered with this statement that says, "We protect consumers." I actually reported Ofgem when all this started kicking off to the advertising standards industry, or whatever the fucking watchdog is for websites, saying they claim to protect consumers, but they do no such fucking thing. And they just ignored me as well, because that's another government department. So, yeah, I was complaining to the government about the government. No doubt the government investigated the government and found that the government did nothing wrong. Just like the fucking police. And compensate them for debts on bills that they cannot recover from customers. Debts which were no doubt run up because Ofgem put the prices way too fucking high and kept them there. Fucking set of bellends. Stuart doing the edit here. Just one thing that came to mind but that I forgot to mention when I recorded this video at the start. Ofgem have kept prices stupidly high, higher than they needed to be, in order to allow these companies to make massive profits, 10 times the usual profit, as compensation for losses that they've incurred and debts, customer debts that they can't recover from them. Does that mean that those customers' debts have now been written off? I mean, surely they should be. They've said, oh, we're never getting them back. Government, punish the rest of the country so that we get our money. The government's gone, okay. So have all those customer debts now been wiped clean? Are they gone? Or are they still sending thugs round to try and get the money out of them? I think we all know the answer, don't we? It added it did not expect a repeat of the benefit in the future. I think it fucking does, because it's quite clear whose side they're on. The losses were incurred due to British Gas, along with several other suppliers, taking on customers and honouring existing contracts when dozens of small energy providers went bust in 2021, when gas prices surged and made price promises to customers undeliverable. I mean, they weren't. They could have just taken the loss, and then when the prices come back down, because they always do, they'll make money again. But I'm sorry, but why did they need to be compensated? What the actual fuck? I mean, as soon as they started beating up pensioners, they should have been down on British Gas like a fucking ton of bricks. You know, no compensation. This is how much you're charging, and that's the end of the fucking matter. And you're not allowed to break into people's houses or fit prepayment meters or switch smart meters remotely. We'll catch you doing that, we'll halve your price cap and keep halving it until you fucking stop it. That's the sort of attitude you have to take with these evil cunts. That's the attitude they would take if they were on the side of the people, like they should be, and not on the side of evil corporations. Anyway, Ofgem confirmed it allowed companies to charge more than they should have been charging so that they could get back some of the losses they incurred during the energy crisis, but the people don't actually matter. This is a one-off adjustment. Yeah, no, that's a lie. The lie detector test determined that was bullshit. This one-off adjustment is reflected in the first half of the year and will therefore show in the profits for the whole year, and this is why most suppliers are showing higher than usual profits for this period. Wait a minute, so they only did this for 6 months? Imagine if they'd left it there for the whole year. You know, in 6 months their profits went up 10 times. I think that just shows how much higher prices are compared to what they actually should be on the government's order. For the second half of the year, profits have returned to more normal levels allowed under the price cap. I'm going to expect them to remain at such levels moving forward. Yeah, until British Gas needs to phone in another favour, and then they might even give them 20 times. Who knows? Oh, here we go, look. British Gas was at the centre of a scandal last year when it emerged debt agents working for the energy supplier had broken into vulnerable people's homes to force-fit prepayment meters. And yet nothing was fucking done. The evil thugs that they sent round weren't prosecuted or anything like that. I mean, it should be, and I do this in my job, I'm expected to at least make some small effort to identify vulnerable people. And it is the bare minimum of effort. It's not difficult at all. And then take steps to protect those people. So those debt agents or thugs have failed to do that. I mean, it's not fucking difficult. And yet they've done it anyway, and they haven't been prosecuted. British Gas, well, they pretended to punish them, but then they just let them go back to normal. They've seen no real consequences. And now they've been allowed to make £750 million in profit. Fucking bastards. Aaron Chiekri, oh, fucking no. Equity analyst at investment firm Hargreaves Lansdown, I mean, investment firm, it already sounds like a bunch of evil bastards, said British Gas's services arm, which includes things such as boiler installations, had been a sticky spot in recent years, plagued by scandals, beating up pensioners, and poor customer service levels. Beating up pensioners is regarded as poor customer service. You generally won't catch me beating up pensioners in the name of customer service. He said customer numbers had fallen by 8% in 2023 as cost of living pressures drove customers to search among providers to find the cheapest deals. And I wonder how much of that 8% are leaving just because they don't want to be associated with British Gas anymore, because they're a bunch of cunts. But he added the company had invested heavily in improving its service levels. It no longer beats up pensioners on a daily basis. And it's beginning to show through lower job rescheduling rates and complaints. And has it done anything to compensate the people it beat up to get its money? Invested heavily, what, all 750 million? I mean, that would be investing heavily. No, what it's probably done is spent 10 grand on some, I don't know, second-hand desks in an office, but it hasn't actually employed anyone to fill those desks, or something like that. That's what it will be. And when people leave the company, they're not replaced. That's exactly what it will be. They will have done fuck all. I mean, the biggest thing with companies like this is getting through to them on the phone. It takes hours and hours, and then it's a long, laborious process, say, to report a problem to them. It's always the same, and what they need is more people in the call centres, and for them to be more competent and not tied up in endless bureaucratic bullshits and jumping through the hoops. But they won't have done that. I guarantee if they've got a team of 1,000, they will have hired one extra person, or like 10 extra people. And we've invested heavily. You haven't. You fucking haven't. It's all bullshit. It's just corporate bullshit, and it's the same whatever corporation you're at. Chris O'Shea, the chief executive of fucking Dr. Evil's lair, said the company had done a lot we can be proud of in 2023. You're proud of beating up pensioners, are you? Fucking wankers. Adding it paid more than £1 billion in tax. Oh, fucking good for you. He renewed calls for a social tariff to enable people on lower incomes to pay less for their gas and electricity. Or we could just all pay less and you could stop making an extra £750 million in 6 months. Because you don't fucking need it, do you? You were still making a profit even when you were supposedly taking on all these customers that had existing deals and you couldn't deliver on them. But you were still turning a profit, so you weren't doing that badly. The poorest in society are really struggling. And that's your fault. But it's not just the energy. It's energy, it's rent, it's mortgages, it's food and all manner of costs, he said on a call on Thursday. What I'm focused on is how do we fix this in energy, and that's why we need a social tariff. That's why we need the standing charge to disappear. Well, I mean, you could just stop charging it. They act like, you know, they're obliged to charge you this. They can just not. That would be fucking perfect. But they won't. They like to pretend that it's somebody else's problem and that they don't have a choice. But what he says there at the end, it's not just energy. No, you're right, it's not. It is rent, and that's another bunch of greedy bastards, is landlords. And I don't care how nice you are, or how much of a good terms you are with them. When you rent, you pay to support somebody else's lifestyle. They may pretend to be all hard working and be coming around to fix things straight away and everything, but most of the time they're just sat at home, just getting pissed in front of the telly, and you're paying for it. It's fucking cons. But it has to be said, all the things he mentions there all come back to the government. All of it. So yeah, that has been... Well, it didn't just piss me off at the time. I've been pissed off at it for days now. Why do we have to compensate these evil bastards? I mean, I think the last 2 years has enabled energy companies to really show their true colours. And if anybody thinks that they're anything else other than money-grabbing evil corporations that don't care one bit about their customers other than how much money they can get out of them, you're a fucking idiot. You really are. I mean, it starts off, they want their prices to go higher and higher and higher. Alright, there was a spike in fossil fuels, but let's say, like with my energy company, people legitimately said to my energy company, which is Octopus, but you're on 100% renewable energy. And Octopus have been banging on about that for years, ever since I've been with them. Congratulations, you're on 100% renewable energy. So people quite rightly said, well, has the price of sunlight gone up? Is the wind not puffing hard enough, is it? And then it turns out that the energy market is a scam. All of it is a scam. Because it's all charged out at the cost of the highest price... It's the cost of the highest unit of electricity generated anywhere. And the UK still has, I think it's one or two, gas power stations. And the price of gas went through the roof. Now, it didn't matter how cheap all the other energy was being created. That one power station set the price for everything. So being on 100% renewable energy made fuck all difference. You may as well have just had all our power stations running on coal and pandas for all the fucking difference it would have made when prices started to rise. And that's just the start, but it's exactly what they're like. It's absolute maximum price that they can get away with. It would make more sense and would be a lot fairer if it was the average. Alright, so the price of gas has gone up, but the sun is still shining because it has been for billions of fucking years, and the wind is still blowing, and the tides are still going in and out, and it doesn't cost us any money for those things to happen. No one's flying up to the sun every couple of months and putting 50p in the back of it, are they? So, renewable energy should have helped save us. It should have helped keep the average down so prices didn't spike so much. But no, because the energy market is a scam and they're charging the absolute maximum they can get away with. Also, on that same vein, we find out that gas and electric prices are tied together. Why? Alright, gas has gone up in price, so your gas bill is going to go up. But electricity didn't rise by as much, or at least not the cost to generate it. But the two are tied together. So when one goes up, the other has to go up. Why? Why is it like that? This whole crisis would have been lessened so much if that wasn't the case. If one could have gone up, but then the other would have stayed much lower. It would have come up a bit, but it would have been much lower. Why? And I've been thinking about this for years. The only possible explanation is, once again, it's the absolute maximum they can get away with. It just gets as much money out of people as possible. And calls for the government to change it fell on deaf ears. They've done Fuck all. They said they were going to do it, but it's like a scene in Yes Minister. They'll set up an interdepartmental committee that will investigate the possibility of doing it at some point in the future, and it'll take 2 years to reach its conclusion, which will then be lost in the floods of 1967 or some other bullshit. I mean, go watch Yes Minister and the sequel Yes Prime Minister. It's an excellent documentary on how the British government works. So yeah, that was the second thing. Once again, charging the absolute maximum they can get away with. And that's alright, so prices have gone up, but not to worry, the government's got us back. Ofgem sets a price cap. Energy companies are not allowed to exceed that. That's the law, you cannot do it. And this was put in place to protect consumers. You know, to protect them from being put on stupidly expensive rates. So, that's alright, the government's got us back. It will stop this from happening. No, it won't, because the government isn't on our side at all. It then just puts the price cap up and lets them charge even more. And this is great. Actually, I'll bring it up. I'll show you. Right, I'm rejecting your stupid pissing cookies. Get enough bullshit from you. Right, here we go. Look, we are the energy regulator for Great Britain. We work to protect energy consumers. You fucking don't, do you? So, especially vulnerable people. You did fuck all when British Gas was beating up the vulnerable, wasn't it? By ensuring they are treated fairly and benefit from a cleaner, greener environment. Well, we're fucking not benefiting from it, are we? But as I've just explained, we ain't. Like, at all. What the actual fuck? But yeah, there it is, right on the front page. And you can go through this whole website. I'm not gonna. But it says time and time again, we protect consumers. It's, oh, fuck off. What on earth is wrong with you? Oh, that's interesting. We operate in a statutory framework set by Parliament. There you go. The government are telling these cunts what to do. But yeah, it does. Oh, look, it says there on the Google page, we are a non-ministerial government department. All that means is they don't have a cabinet minister at the head of the department, like, say, Defence does. But they're still a government department. There is no way you can convince me that, say, the Prime Minister doesn't have the ability to ring up the head of Ofgem and say, hey, you know you were thinking of putting prices up to stupidly unaffordable levels and putting the whole country into crisis and poverty. Yeah, let's not do that. There's no way you can convince me that that isn't possible. It's part of the government. Just fucking do it. But yeah, anyway, it starts putting the price cap up. And it goes up and up and up. And people are saying, that's too much. That's way too much. Stop. 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 People are saying to their government, don't do this. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. What do? Just fucking ignore you. And then it turns out that, oh no, we're not here for the customers. No, we have to protect the energy companies. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? The people that gave you your jobs, that voted for you, are telling you not to fucking do something, and you do the exact opposite and then keep doing it and making it worse. But yeah, anyway, so they've put the cap up, and it goes up and up and up and up and up and up. And at its highest, British Gas is smashing down people's doors when it can't get its money out of them through normal intimidations. It goes for physical violence against pensioners. And I'm going to keep saying that because it's true. And if you don't like it, British Gas, poke it up your fucking rich arse. I just don't care about you. As well as other companies, they were all at it. And then we find out smart meters that they've been trying to get us onto, going on about the benefits, they can switch them by remote. They don't have to go through the courts and get a warrant like they're supposed to. They don't have to go through the safeguarding measures. They just hit a button on a computer. Balls to you. Well, that's not protecting the elderly and the vulnerable, is it? What was done about that? Absolutely fucking nothing. Who was supposed to do something about it? Well, Parliament and Ofgem. But has anything been done? No, fuck all's been done about it. So I won't have one. I thought about having one, but now I just won't. I'll refuse. Bollocks to them. Yeah, and well, that brings me on to the courts. Now, the courts are at least supposed to be independent from the government, although they normally back them up on fucking everything. Unless you're Boris Johnson. That was hilarious. Um, they're supposed to be the final safeguard. You know, these companies want to apply for a warrant, your legal permission to go and smash down your door and beat up your grandma. And they're supposed to look at it, and there's meant to be checks and balances. Say, well, are there vulnerable people here? Have you checked? How old are these people? Either if they're over a certain age, you can't do this. Have you done A, B, and C before reaching this stage? And if the answer to any of those is we haven't done it, or no, then it should be no, you're not doing it. I'm not giving you the warrant. That is, of course, until we find out that magistrates are just rubber stamping them about 600 a day, not even bothering to fucking look. So the courts are about as useless as the fucking governments are right now. What is the fucking point of them? They are just utterly useless. And then the magistrates tried to defend it. Well, we don't really have a choice. Yes, you fucking do. You could not do that. And other magistrates then came forward and said, yes, we absolutely do have a choice. And other magistrates have gone on record and said that they will deny them. But what the energy companies start doing then is filing them in different courts so that they get the magistrates they want, the ones that will just rubber stamp it. It's just fucking bullshit, all of it. And yeah, so that's at the height of it. And now that they're coming down, these energy prices, they're meant to be lowering the price cap, which they shouldn't have put up in the first place. And there was a better solution, which I'll come on to in a minute, that doesn't involve putting the entire nation into fuel poverty. Stuart doing the edit again. Just coming in here because I didn't actually mention the better way of doing it that I said I would. I went off in a different direction. So, the Isle of Man. Fell short, it's the Isle of Man. Isle of something, but I'm going to go 90% it's the Isle of Man. Has its own energy supplier. You can't sign up for this energy supply if you don't live on the Isle of Man. And they, as far as I know, have a monopoly as well. That's your only choice. Fine, whatever. Maybe not ideal for consumers not being able to shop around, but whatever. The difference, though, is they have devolved powers, including setting their own energy price cap. Right? Now, the government out there has got it right. They're on the side of the people, not the evil energy companies. And what they said was, we're not going to increase the price cap. We're just not going to do it. They've done it a little bit. There was a little bit of push and pull, but not to the scale not to the same scale as on the mainland, as they like to call us, even though we're also an island, just a much larger one. And what they've said to the energy company is, you can either take the loss, sort it out yourselves, or you can borrow money from the government and pay it back over time. Why couldn't we do that? I mean, the government is no stranger to bailing out big corporations with billions of pounds. They've done it before, they've done it with the banks. And that was their own stupid fault. That was self-inflicted, what happened to the banks. Why couldn't we do that? Just leave the price cap unchanged where it is and say, sorry guys, times are tough, but we're not going to make them worse for the electorate because we actually care about them. But if you run out of money, we have set up a fund, you can borrow some from the government, but you will have to pay us back. It's a loan, not a grant or a gift, and not a handout. What's wrong with that? Because energy prices have been the main driver of the cost of living crisis, the main driver of inflation. So the main reason half of people's grandmothers are being beaten up by thugs at their doorstep because British Gas sent them. Why did prices need to go up at all? Why didn't they just say, no, sorry, we're not doing that, it's bad for the country, it's bad for the people, here's an alternative? Because the government hates you. It's the only answer. Right, back to the video. They're meant to be lowering it, but what they've actually done, and this is a classic evil capitalist trick is drag their heels. You know, the price of generating this electricity and the price of gas is coming down, but we'll just keep our prices higher for just a little bit longer. You know, just so that we can give the, you know, these weary energy companies that they're only making hundreds of £1,000,000. Oh no! So just so we can give them a bit of a payoff of £750 million. What the fuck? To compensate them. Where's my fucking compensation for your bullshit the last 2 years? Can I have £750 million for no fucking reason? Yeah. Oh no, times were hard and they didn't make as much money as they normally do. Oh, didums. So fucking what? That's life. That's business. Just fuck off. But it's clearly evident that the government is on the side of the energy companies, and there's no other explanation for it at all. They only care about how much money these companies can make. That's it. If there was any other explanation, they wouldn't have done what they've done. You know, they wouldn't have raised prices. They wouldn't have had the price of gas coupled to electricity. They wouldn't have held the prices up to allow these companies to make stupid amounts of money. They wouldn't have allowed them to go around beating up pensioners and vulnerable people. The courts would have been, would have had clear guidance, would have had laws, saying you have to check each one, and if they don't meet the criteria on every single warrant, you do not allow them. There would have been no rubber stamping of it. And when these energy companies were breaking the law, they would have come down on them like a ton of fucking bricks, like they're supposed to. But none of that has happened. What possible explanation can there be, other than the government just doesn't give a fuck about the people that elected them? Well, we half elected them. We're on like our 4th Prime Minister in a row now that hasn't actually won a fucking election, but that's a rant for another day. But yeah, and I can't possibly think of another explanation. Either they don't care, or that for some reason they actively hate the people that elected them, and they're just doing this to hurt people, as many as they can. Those fucking maniacs. This is a long video. Anyway, that brings me on to the wider issue, the cost of living. And all I can think about is it all comes back to the government. They did all of it. We've talked about energy prices and what they've done. And this isn't things beyond their control or a lack of action that's led to it. They've actually taken positive action to make these things happen. So let's talk about, let's say, rent and mortgages. So inflation starts to go up, and the Bank of England reacts to that by making it worse. Because apparently that's exactly what needs to be done. Now, I understand the need to try and keep a lid on inflation. That's perfectly understandable. You don't want to end up like fucking Zimbabwe or something like that. It's just insane. Inflation can kill a country. Look at like Germany, after the First World War, and look what fucking happened as a result. Not saying that can happen again. Well, there's always a chance, isn't there? Nutters like him are just waiting for the right environment to thrive. I'm sure that's a line from Star Trek. But yeah, inflation can kill a country. But in this case, inflation was being driven primarily by energy prices. Energy prices that the government was increasing, but which were also expected to come down in fairly short order. They were always expected to come down, and they are starting to come down now, because they always do. So inflation's going up because the government's putting energy prices up, and then the Bank of England responds to that by jacking up everyone's mortgages and rents, because that's fucking helpful. How is that helpful? if the inflation was just getting out of hand naturally, like it was, say, when the country started to come out of the pandemic, I would understand they needed to start raising interest rates and gently squeeze it back down. But this was artificial, and it was always expected to end. And a lot of people, I've read a lot about this, are saying that the Bank of England's actions have done fuck all about inflation. They've been completely ineffective, and that interest rates didn't need to go up. So all those people that have lost their homes because they haven't been able to pay their increased rent and stupidly increased mortgages, didn't need to happen. And before anyone goes and says, oh, the Bank of England's independent from the government, yeah, it is on paper, but let's be honest, it's not really. How does the governor of the Bank of England get his job? Because I don't remember voting for any of those millionaires that somehow have the power to ruin millions of people's lives. I don't remember voting for those cunts. How do they get it? Well, it's given to them by the duchy. In other words, the king. The king gives him the job of the governor of the Bank of England on recommendation from the government. And of course, we know that the king just does what the government tells him on such matters. So how did the governor of the Bank of England get his job? The government gave it to him. And you expect me to believe that they hold no sway over him whatsoever? I mean, if he doesn't do what they want him to do, what happens? Well, they'll just recommend somebody else for the job, won't they? But yeah, that's something else. How did this group of unelected millionaires get so much power over people's lives and the ability to ruin them with just the stroke of a pen? Well, it's not even a pen, it'll be a fucking spreadsheet that they sit and play with, counting their gold. So, we don't seem to have enough gold. Oh well, just make another 100,000 people homeless. Fucking bastards. So yeah, don't give me that shit. And the Bank of England's response in this case was wrong. The country needed an increase in interest rates like a fucking hole in the head. It was just, the Bank of England swoops in to just make things worse. So, but anyway, we're on the subject of inflation. It's primarily driven by energy prices, which are set by the government, and the government keeps putting them up, increasing inflation. And then the Bank of England, which pretends to be independent from the government, but nobody believes that it actually is, makes it worse. But then, because everybody's rents and mortgages are going up, some employers, although not all, started giving pay rises to their staff. Which then, of course, meant that they then had to charge more to cover that. Which then means that the Bank of England puts interest rates up again. Whereas if they could just knock it off and stop making it worse, it wouldn't be such an issue, would it? But there we go. No, their job is to make it worse for you for some fucking reason. And then also other things, like they start talking about the rising cost of food. Well, businesses, let's say a restaurant, for example, it's had to put its prices up several times. Why has it had to do that? Well, it's had to do that because its energy prices have gone through the fucking roof. And it's the same with bigger businesses like supermarkets. They're having to put food prices up because their energy costs have gone through the fucking roof. As well as the cost of fuel for the lorries moving it around and just general shipping and storage. It's all gone through the fucking roof. And it's all as a result of the government's actions. So the price of food going up ultimately comes back to the government. They're the ones doing it. It's all down to them. It would actually have been better if we'd had a modern day Guy Fawkes and the government just went away. That would have been so much better, because then they wouldn't have been around to do this to people. It's just... I can't think of any other explanation other than it's a deliberate act, and for whatever reason the government has it in for us. There really is no other explanation. I mean, someone in the comments say, give me a better explanation that explains everything, absolutely everything. Why are we letting evil corporations like British Gas that beat up everybody's grandmothers make £750 million in profit? Why? Why the fuck do we need to do that? We absolutely don't. What they're going to do? You know, oh, well, we might not want to be in the UK anymore. You're British fucking Gas. Where are you going to go? France? You know, they're not going to abandon it. You know, just fuck them. You know, yeah. And yeah, rent's going up as well. It's going up because, you know, your landlord has become accustomed to a certain lifestyle paid by somebody else. That's it. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's just fucking stupid. It really is. I mean, I get their mortgage has gone up, but we all know rents have gone up by way more than mortgages. What's the explanation for that? Well, greedy landlords, you know, want a nicer lifestyle off your hard work. That's really exactly what it is. One day I'll make a discussion piece about my plans for dealing with landlords. You'll fucking love it. So I will be the tightest salt of my day. So this was going to be a short video, but I'm looking at the timer. We're up to 40 minutes now. I'll try and edit some of it down. It may come down to like 39 minutes. Stuart doing the edit again. I made it longer. I've somehow managed to make it 2 minutes longer than when I first recorded it. Oops. I could go on. I could go on for fucking forever. But I am honestly of the view that the government just got it in for us. For whatever reason, they hate us, and everything that's happening, all your struggles, all the stress, the sleepless nights, everything you've lost, you know, all those people that have been beaten up by British Gas, just all of it, absolutely fucking all of it, was a deliberate act by them. There is no other explanation that I can think of, just at all. And why? Just fucking why? And the thing is, I don't think it's going to stop. Even if we get a new government at the next general election, which, let's be honest, chances are Labour are going to win, I don't think it'll stop at all. You know, they'll claim to be the great reformers or something like that in their election pledges, but nothing will change. Absolutely nothing will change. It will always be the people versus the elite. Yeah. Someone once said there's nothing more dangerous than a man who's got nothing to lose. So my question to the government, whoever it is when you're watching this, is when you're quite finished, you know, when you put the entire country into poverty, we've all lost our homes and all our hopes, all our dreams have been shattered, and you've taken everything from us, you know, and you're sitting high and mighty and you're counting your fucking gold in the Bank of England or playing with your spreadsheets or whatever it is that you do. What are you going to do when all those people that you've made to suffer for no fucking reason, what are you going to do when those people come for you? I mean, you may think that you're safe in Downing Street, you've got men with guns guarding the gates. How much do you pay them? Is it enough? How loyal are they to you? How many bullets do they have in those guns, and will they actually use them to protect you? Think about that. Thank you for watching this video on doing stuff and filming it. Please don't forget to press the big button here in the middle to subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you liked what you just saw, please click the like button below and leave a comment letting me know what you liked about it. And as always, thank you for watching.